Greetings, my fellow freedom loving Simon thinkers. This is LL3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Saturday, May 13th, 2017. Yes, it's sunny outside along the New Rivers, and I'm at CJ's Lounge located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue along the New River District, New Rivers of Fort Lauderdale. Southwest corner where Andrews Avenue Bridge lies. So, yeah, I was just checking some stuff out. And something really caught my eye. I was just listening to Next News World Week. And James Corbett was on there. And we talked about Florida. Looks like they want to make it a Bitcoin-free zone. That's what they're trying to implement here. So, because I know there's some cases that happen in South Florida. Miami Beach, to be exact. They did some entrapment on some merchants and clerks, and they arrested them for unlicensed monies and all this good stuff. But the question is, where's the victim? That's the question. So, we're going to check this out. And I have it right in front of me. It came out actually the 9th, May 9th, by Luke Parker from Brave New Coin. It says here, Florida passes law making crimes with Bitcoin money laundering. And it says here's House Bill 1379 recently passed in Florida, which defines virtual currency and prohibits its use in laundering criminal proceeds. The bill adds the term virtual currency to the definition of monetary instruments under Florida's Money Laundering Act. The legislation is currently in the hands of the state's governor and is expected to be signed soon. Flip flop, raw. And this, if he signs it, you could say one thing, folks. He supports victimless crime laws. Plus, he's running for the Senate in Florida. So we should go, woo-hoo, flip-flop, Rick Scott. Exactly. So we'll just continue on here. The act defines digital currency as a medium of exchange in an electronic or digital format that is not a coin or currency of the United States or any other country. So, previously, the Act only applies money laundering to legacy financial transactions of various types, including bank deposits, investments, and wire transfers. So if you have fiat money, which is consensually counterfeit, it is legit. Hurrah! How come you don't get the Federal Reserve on money laundering? Because you're a bunch of cowards and bend-over bobs. Let me continue on here. The resulting outcome is that criminals using cryptocurrencies will be charged with money laundering as well as underlying criminal activity. Cyber criminals have taken advantage of our acquainted laws for too long, claimed Democratic House Representative Jose Felix Diaz, a sponsor of the bill. How sweet it is to have a policeman like you, a nanny. Thank you for being a nanny, House Representative Diaz. Fidel Castro will love you to death. Bitcoin bypasses the traditional banking system. In our state's law simply had not caught to the upsurge in criminality in the world of cyber currency. Passing this legislation brings to arrest a multi-year long series of court proceedings and uncertainty centered around the arrest of a seller of Bitcoins. The bill is a direct deposit to the failure of Miami-Dade Police Department to be able to prosecute Mitchell Espinoza, a Miami-based website designer and local Bitcoins seller who was charged with legally transmitting and laundering $31,000 worth of Bitcoins near the end of 2013. Wow. That is so amazing. So proud of these men. At the time, undercover detectives in Miami PD worked with the Secret Service to set up a sting operation on sellers at the popular face-to-face Bitcoin exchange. The undercover police officers initially bought a small amount of Bitcoin for Espinoza worth $1,000 at the time, and the officers claimed that they told Espinoza specifically that they intended to use the money to buy stolen credit card numbers, which is an existing crime in Florida. Can we say entrapment? Espinoza was arrested in a police sting involving an agreement for $30,000 in Bitcoin. Days later, another local Bitcoin trader, Pascal Reed, was arrested in the second sting operation for the same amount by the same officers. Both Espinoza and Reed pleaded guilty to acting as an unlicensed money broker, similar to the charges Charlie Shrem faced for his arrest as CEO of Blistant in January 2014. Defense teams for both Reed and Espinoza filed to have money laundering charges dismissed in their cases on the grounds under their IRS guidance. Oh, yes, but we got to support the true criminals, the true thieves. Bitcoin is not legal money, so you want to support the true criminals, man. That is so dandy. Yes, I need government to sell my to serve. I have to serve them. I have to be like Sweet Polly Purebred. Even if I have to have issues of cleaning my own behind, I need their assistance. Can we say Mr. French in Heat? They both wound up accepting a plea deal and were sentenced to probation. Reed went on to teach law enforcement officers at the Miami PD about how Bitcoin works as part of the plea deal. I bet you all those cops are going to be using Bitcoin anyway. What followed for Espinoza was a dramatic series of well-publicized court proceedings that took 2.5 years to conclude, ending with all charges being dropped. The case made headline news as there were so few laws on the books about Bitcoin in any U.S. state, and Florida was the first to arrest anyone who appeared to be merely selling a cryptocurrency. State prosecutors are properly applying Florida statutes regulating money service businesses to individuals conducting peer-to-peer sales of Bitcoins. Brian Klein, the Bitcoin Foundation legal advocate. It was at Espinoza's May 2016 hearing that defense lawyers told Judge Teresa Pula that neither government nor banks back Bitcoin, so Bitcoin regulation remains lacking and clear definition were yet to be made in most states. Can we see the hypocrisy here is going on right now, my friends? Judge Pooler cleared Espinoza of all charges 2 months later, citing a lack of regulations. This court is unwilling to punish a man for selling his property to another, she said during the verdict, when his actions fall under a statute that's so vaguely written that even legal professionals have difficulty finding a singular meaning. This court is not an expert in economics. However, it's very clear, even someone with limited knowledge in the area, that Bitcoin has a long way to go before it is the equivalent of money. Pooler wrote in an 8-page dismissal order. The judge then called for today's legislative outcome. And you can read that yourself, okay? Noting that the state could prevent further cases like Espinoza from a similar conflict, she says there is unquestionably no evidence that the defendant did anything wrong other than sell his Bitcoin to an investigator who wanted to make a case. They went fishing. Hopefully, the Florida legislature or an appellate court will define and promote so individuals who believe in the conduct is legal are not arrested. The outcome of the 2016 ruling has likely set a precedent that can already be felt in other states. In this year alone, 8 more states have worked on bills that concern Bitcoin and blockchains, while most states have simply taken the opportunity to define blockchain technology and its benefits. Hawaiian lawmakers have started to define and regulate Bitcoin and its money transmitter status. Ultimately, it is up to each state how they classify Bitcoin. All the while, new options continually arise, such as the Sweden-based local Bitcoins and a decentralized peer-to-peer Bitcoin exchange, BitSquare, that give users in those states a way to buy and sell Bitcoin without any regulations. They talk about the liquid index of Bitcoin and how they're doing and all that good stuff. So you can really look at this whole site as a whole. So you can look at all that to see for yourselves. Some different articles, what Bitcoin's about. So, but it is really mind blowing. Okay, so you got You got the local police working with the Secret Service. All right, about Bitcoin. This is pretty damn insulting. You got local government bending over for the feds so they can make some wheeling dealing so they get their damn money annually. But it's okay to have sanctuary cities, where not all, but many of them are have criminal records, violent criminals in those elements are roaming the streets. But that's okay. We'll just go after people with Bitcoin. The people in the Miami-Dade Police Department and the city of Miami, in Miami-Dade County, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Letting some bunch of douchebags, okay, I'm sorry to say this, but tyrannical douchebags tell you how to live when to wipe your behinds. Yeah, Kathy Rundle, look what happened. you're what an achievement there, you little young lady. But if your twin boys would do it, give them immunity. So you know what? I think that's why I've been telling people in that county and city, demand for the Rundle twins immunity plan. They should all address that. I can make a motion, Your Honor, for the Rundle twins immunity plan. Why? If they could be treated with they can have special treatment and do whatever you want, I should too. But the difference is, there was no victim. How is that a crime? So, Mika, we'll look at this bill here, which got passed. This is, of course, it was then became CSHB 379. All right, Department of Legal Affairs. And it goes around here. Department of Legal Affairs authorized statewide council on human trafficking to receive funding from additional sources. Requires DHSMV to assign highway patrol officers that provide AG has standing certain rights in certain proceedings. Required authorized trustee to provide certain notice to AG rather than the attorney. Defines virtual currency, prohibiting of laundering of virtual currency. Provides for crime victim assistance of warrant surviving family members as a result of a crime are killed answering calls for the service of duty. So it's interesting about that bill about human trafficking. Like that's a different ball game, my friends. But if you're going to use Bitcoin and have and do trades, you're selling them in good faith to the clientele, privacy issues, and you can get harassed. It's really disturbing. Okay, and that's one thing I don't like about it. So they don't want to use Bitcoin or any virtual currency, but they want you to use fiat money and credit cards. The credit cards because they can track you. That's why some of these people in Congress, in the states, for an example, believe they should be the nannies, not the servants. And I'll recommend Flip-Flop Brooks Scott not to sign it. And I'll explain that in a moment. So you can read the bill yourself. You can read that bill yourself, so definitely check it out. And what's interesting here, because it happened with this case, was actually by localbitcoins.com. Users face criminal charges in Florida. This came out February 7, 2014. And Pascal Reed and Brian Keebs, that Mitchell, exactly. The story's right here. Fake transaction to convert $30,000 worth of cash. So, and it talks about statute 560.125 forbids people from engaging in frequent unlicensed money transmission type transactions of more than $300 but less than $20,000 in a 12-month period in the state. Depending on the amount involved is considered a felony of the third, second, or first degree. Exchanging more than $100,000 in funds during any 12-month period is considered a first-degree felony. Fines of twice the currency value up to a $250,000 are possible. So let me read this law right here. So I'm gonna leave that here. It's from CoinDesk.com, and it talks about the statute right here. It's interesting. It's like 560.125 unlicensed activity penalties. It gives you the whole rundown, everything on it. face. And it's, like it says here, Section 7, any person who violates this section is also liable for a civil penalty not more than the value of currency or payment instruments involved, of $25,000, whichever is greater. And I like here, in any prosecution brought pursuant to this section 8, subsection 8 of the statute, the common law corpus delicti rule does not apply. The defendant's confession or admission is admissible during a trial without the state having to propose a corpus delicti if the court finds a hearing conducted outside the presence of a jury that the defendant's confession or admission is trustworthy. So we'll just, you know what? I'm going to take the initiative. I'm looking that up. See, what does that mean? It should be under the legal dictionary.org, if I'm correct. So, we're going to definitely look under the law dictionary.org. And it says here, what is corpus delicti? Delicti. The body of a crime. Body of material substance upon which a crime has been committed, e.g. the corpse of a murdered man. The charred remain of a house burned down in derivative sense, substance of a foundation of a crime. Since the substantial fact that a crime has been committed. All right, so that is interesting on that area, if it relates to money laundering. So you can just look that up yourselves. And here's the thing I have to question. How that supersedes the Article 1 of the Florida Constitution? Well, based on this crime, Text 1, political power. All political power is inherited in the people. The enunciation here in a certain right shall not be construed to deny or impair others retained by the people. Okay? And we can go on here, basic rights. All natural persons, female and male alike, are equal before the law and have inalienable rights, among which the right to enjoy and defend life and liberty, to pursue happiness, be awarded for industry, and to acquire, possess, and protect property, except the ownership, inheritance, disposition of possession of real property by aliens ineligible for citizenship may be regulated or prohibited by law. No person shall be deprived of any rights because of race, religion, national origin, or physical disability. So, doing transactions considered property, all right, with Bitcoin. So how's that law, HB 1379, supersedes those basic rights as well? And we can go down to same article, section 23, right? 23, right of privacy. Every person has a right to be let alone and free from governmental intrusion into the person's private life, except as otherwise provided herein. This section should not be construed to limit the public's rights of access to public records and meetings as provided by law. So, you have the right to be left alone. But now with Bitcoin, this so-called Bitcoin referendum that passed, not yet signed by the governor, it is that does private. It does infringe on the right to privacy. So, explain this to me, House Representative Diaz from Florida. Can you explain to me how this bill you proposed and authored on a victimless crime stance supersedes those Article 1 of those particular sections I've addressed aforementioned? Explain that to me. Explain that to the people in your district. Because to be very sincere, you want to control people. A man like you and those lackeys up there want to check on everybody. As far as I'm concerned, it's none of your damn business. Because when I read these things, I'm not really too impressed. But trying to use a money laundering act for these particular areas might sound all dandy, but the fine print's pretty bad. So I boldly recommend everyone in the great state of Florida to do two things. Contact your governor and let them know you don't accept this bill, and exercise jury nullification and your natural born rights, your Declaration of Rights under Article 1 of the Florida Constitution. If there's no victim, how is that a crime? It includes doing business with Bitcoin clerk. Plain and simple. All right. And then you can ask them this. Hey, the abortion amendment that got ejected by the people, the voters, because it compromises the right of privacy. We got to treat this the same way. Okay? All right. Well, that's all. And I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting I may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, Future.net, or you can hit me on my Patreon.com site, which is /Loki Luck 3, which is 3 I's. It's all together. In addition, you could email me at LokiLuck3. That's the number 3. It's all together at gmail.com. Or you can hit me at Proton Mail, which is LokiLuck03, all together, at protonmail.com for you encrypted types out there. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the Maniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.